If you like Star Trek and Star Wars and you like ship battles, you'll like this channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe and make a comment. It helps. It really does. And with that being said, let's get started. Starfleet's Ambassador-class heavy cruiser commissioned in 2322. A deep space heavy cruiser designed for long-range exploration and defense of the Federation. The Ambassador-class serves as the primary capital ship of Starfleet from 2322 to 2360, in much the same role as the earlier Constitution-class and Excelsior-classes. Designed to be durable and reliable, the Ambassador-class is a rugged vessel well-suited for missions in advanced conditions and far from support. Ambassador starships frequently operate independently and require little pampering to maintain. In combat, the Ambassador class is a significant weapons platform using a mix of phasers and torpedoes for overlapping fields of coverage, with little drop-off in combat abilities. In diplomatic or support profiles, this class contains adequate cargo and personal facilities to fulfill a variety of mission objectives. Part of the Ambassador's rugged durability system comes from the redundancy of shield systems. Electroplasma systems, or EPS, taps throughout the vessels were the first to employ triple redundancy, allowing the Ambassador to continue to operate even after several hull breaches. Her sensor arrays, while adequate for the time, are not overly sophisticated but suitable for a wide variety of missions. Defensively, the Ambassador class uses Starfleet's proven CIDSS shield grid system, providing it with superb protection and reliability. In combat, the vessel relies on a number of phaser arrays located on both the primary and secondary hull, providing comprehensive fields of coverage. The Class Type 9 phaser array, new when the ship was designed, have an effective power use curve that allows for the Ambassador to mount more arrays than past designs. Her forward and aft firing M660 direct fire torpedo tube can lay down an impressive volley of photon torpedoes. Most significant to her design are the quad redundancy fire and control systems integrated throughout the skeletal structure. This separates each individual array targeting scanner from the rest of the grid, making it nearly impossible to disable individual weapon mountings. To date, no recorded Ambassador-class starship has suffered more than a 40% weapons failure at any given time. Perhaps the class' most glaring weakness lies in her speed. Even after significant overhauling and upgrades during the design process, the Ambassador class is processed to achieve Warp 9 speeds, and even then for only short durations. A number of warp engine designs simultaneously, including a quad nacelle configuration, were tested, but the Ambassador's space frame proved too large to achieve a stable warp field. In the end, the experimental LF-17 warp engine, still in early design stages, was forced into production as was upgraded to handle the Ambassador's space frame. The LF-17 eventually proved to be usable for the Ambassador class and unreliable at times. While multiple overhauls planned called for new devices, perhaps with the more appropriate LF-35 or an LF-41 warp engine, technological limitations have made this unfeasible. Certainly, the design set high standards, and the Ambassador class was rushed into production. Many aspects of her design were beyond the capabilities and standards of the age, and in the end, several key systems, notably her warp drive, ultimately paid the price. The end resulted with a multi-role starship capable of operating independently on missions of extended durations, but never quite quickly on the scene. The unstable warp field generated by these inadequate engines meant that the Ambassador class was never there when you needed her most, but when she did show up there, she was a force to be reckoned with. The Ambassador's real strength showed in combat, where her size rather than her speed played an important role. At the height of the Romulan aggression during the Khitomer conflict, Ambassador-class ships sometimes found themselves in and holding their own against 3-to-1 odds. The historical display, especially that the USS Enterprise C in 2344, eventually led to the formation of the Klingon Alliance. Ambassador-class vessels also saw action in the Cardassian and Throlian Wars in the 2340s and the 2350s. Although overhaul production was halted in 2372, ambassadors even saw significant time in the Dominion War, while Dominion polaron weapons rendered Starfleet shields ineffective for a period. Ships of this class on the front lines held off Jem'Hadar battle cruisers to nearly a stalemate. In later conflicts, the Ambassador class proved itself real strength in the targeting Cardassian task force, the pride of the Cardassian Union. The Galor class cruiser was little match for a 40-year-old Ambassador class starship. With the Ambassador class having one of the most powerful shields and some of the strongest armor of any ship of its time period, on top of that it had 10 Type 9 experimental phaser arrays, which were considered top of the line in combat efficiency, and they carried 2 newly designed photonic tube launchers. These newer designed weapons meant that the Ambassador class was able to outgun and outclass any starship of any of the major powers during its release. This powerful yet slow battleship was a huge success for the Federation. Its success in its defensive and offensive capabilities would eventually lead to the all-around successful Galaxy-class starship, the pride of the Federation. The Ambassador class was able to hold up against Polaron weapons better than its predecessors or the Galaxy class starships due to the fact that this Ambassador class starship was one of the heaviest armored starships the Federation had ever produced. This ship was very powerful, and even with its shields down, it still had a robust and powerful hull and many secondary systems, allowing it to stay in combat for a long period of time, making it a very successful warship when its shields were down. Due to the complexity and the old age of the ship, it really wasn't compatible with a lot of new technology. There were some attempts to adjust and give it better engines, but even those never really worked out fully. Unfortunately for the Ambassador class, though it was a successful warship, its limitations with its engines and its parts and its age led to it fading away in Starfleet's history.
Definitely Federation starship. Accessing registry.
Looks like they had a rough ride.
NCC 1701C. USS Enterprise.
2. While investigating an unusual radiation anomaly, the Enterprise has encountered what could almost be called a ghost from its own past. The Enterprise C, the immediate predecessor to this battleship.